I'm making this video for those of you who are struggling with difficult relationships. Mastering relationships is one of the most challenging things we face as humans. By the end of this video, you will have more clarity about when it's time to let go of relationships that no longer serve you, and you build the courage to take those next important steps that will change your life. So you might be sad that love, respect, and care are missing in your partnership. Maybe you are having a difficult time in a friendship that once empowered you, but now feels like a drain. I wanted to make this video for you because I have been struggling and suffering in those difficult and life-sucking relationships a lot. Everything changed when I started to understand that the foundation is building a great relationship with myself. When I learned to stand up for myself and my needs, and when I learned to quit toxic or limiting relationships, it powerfully changed my life for the better. We all have to face breakup in our lives, and this is tough. But if we find the courage to stand up and choose clarity over frustration and drain, we make massive progress in life. So let's explore the 5 golden keys of working through relationship. We are not meant to understand everything, but we are meant to have a deep connection with ourselves and others. Golden key number 1, relationships are mirrors. What does that mean? We need other people to understand better who we are. And it's not that everything that other people say about us is right or wrong. For example, I had a friend relationship, and at a certain moment, my friend then, I ended the relationship, my friend then was throwing a lot of garbage at me. And even that I'm open to feedback and criticism, I recognize what he is talking about, what he is seeing in me, what he is projecting onto me is not who I am. And I said, stop. Enough is enough. The image that he gave from me was not me. And so even that it was a very difficult situation and it was really painful for me to see how he is interacting with me and what he is talking about me, afterwards, when I healed a little bit of the pain and the strength of the interaction, I was able to see much more clearly who I am, truly, like what it is that I am, because I could say, this is not part of me, what he is saying. This is not part of me. This I can see and I can accept, and thank you very much for telling me, but this is not. And so it is really important to understand that in good ways and in negative ways, we can learn a lot about how others interact with us. And we need these interactions because through the emotions that come up, we can understand better our true being. And of course, relationships are a very profound play field in which people can learn more about themselves, but it's also very important to notice when things are enough, because when people are presenting as mirrors an image of you that you are not, and you are kind of absorbing it day in, day out, it can be very detrimental to your own progress and to the quality of your life. So in this case, I had to end this friendship because it was too much, and I recognized we will not be able to figure it out, but I learned tremendously about who I am and what is important to me. So keep in mind, relationships are mirrors. We can learn a lot in the interaction, but when things are too tight or when it's enough, then we also have to make choices. So the question is, who do you see in the mirror of others? What kind of person are you with another friend or with a sibling or with a parent? And understanding what your true essence is, you can really learn to navigate through these interactions and understand much deeper who you are. Key number 2. The most important relationship is the relationship with yourself. And just think about it. Who is the closest person to you? It is yourself. And without having a healthy and nurturing relationship to yourself, how should it be possible that you have healthy and nurturing relationship with others? Let me explain. When we are children, we are very honest and very natural in the way how we express. But at a certain moment, people around us might tell us that we should shut up, that we should be different, that things are going like this and not like how we think. And so we are learning to suppress ourselves. And part of it is a very natural thing. It's like growing up and getting education. But there are also a lot of moments in our lives and our history where it was really damaging our relationship to ourselves, because we try to conform, we try to be good, we try to be get praise or doing the things right, and so we are building structures, protection mechanisms, like we are building a mask that we present to the outer world. And of course, a price that we pay for that is that we are not in a true and honest and healthy relationship to ourselves. But this actually is the foundation. I have seen it many, many times that when I learned more about who I am and when I was able to heal of these old and tragic moments, I suddenly felt more at ease with myself. I respected myself more. I learned to be more self-compassionate. You know, there are so many moments where I was like harshly criticizing myself, where I was very negative about me. Even that from the outside, everything seems to be totally okay. And so when we are learning to build a new and good relationship to ourselves, it's really about, in a way, befriending ourselves with us so that we learn what it means to be in a good relationship and to express that openly. So it's really important, because the only person that can empower you fully and truly is yourself. And when you are learning that, you have all the things that you need also to be strong and beautiful and open and forgiving in relationship with others. And of course, this is not an easy thing to do. You cannot just do it in a finger snap, but it's one of the most important aspects. I have seen it again and again with my clients. When they are learning to build a good relationship with themselves, a lot of things in their life become better, because suddenly you know your boundaries, you know what you need, you know what you like, and you are standing in for yourself. And this is very important if you like to have good relationship with others. So then really, like, one of the number one things to do when you are having relationship issues is to check, do you have a good relationship with yourself? Are you taking care? Do you genuinely like yourself? Doesn't mean that we have to like all of our traits, but that there is a genuine friendliness to yourself that really helps you to stay in your own essence, in your own identity. And if you like to find out more how you can empower yourself, check out my newsletter. I'm always sending information about how that works, because there are certain tools and strategies and things we can do to build this relationship. And this is not a once done thing. You have to consistently build upon that. And I can just tell from my experience that it is really, really important to do that. And I also have to say, all of the very difficult and challenging relationship issues that I was going through, all the difficult encounters that I had with people, even that they were really, really painful, they taught me to have a better relationship with myself, because I learned to truly appreciate who I am. Number 3, outgrowing limiting relationships and the courage to freedom. It is very important to recognize when a relationship is not serving us anymore, when we feel so limited and so suffocated in it that we need to make a decision. For example, I had a friend that really was talking a lot of negative things about me, about life, about himself. So whenever I was in connection with him, whenever I met this person, I felt first drained, because, like, I liked the person, so I was not super aware. I was in a way kind of trying to make it better than it is. But I felt drained afterwards. I felt frustrated. I felt down. It really dragged me down. And so when I was progressing in life, I wanted to achieve things. I wanted to create something. I wanted to make a better life. I wanted to become better myself. But this person, in a way, always pulled me down, always dragged me back. And it was very difficult for me just to maintain my status quo. Whenever I met this person, I felt like, oh, I'm really kind of getting smaller and smaller, heavier and heavier, darker and darker. And so I recognize I am outgrowing this relationship. And this is normal because you might be on a journey of growth, of progression, of learning new things, and suddenly you recognize that the other person is not a right fit. And it doesn't mean that we have to hate the other person or that we are not liking them anymore, but still a choice has to be made. And I recognize that it is super important to follow up with that. When you have this feeling inside of yourself that tells you that this relationship is really limiting you, that this relationship does not serve you anymore, that you are not growing in this relationship, it's really time to make a choice. And of course, this is a tough decision and it's not easy to do that, but when you recognize that you are not able to grow, that you're not able to flourish, that you're not able to go beyond what you like to go beyond, this relationship is not the right thing for you. It's really important that you're not playing the blame game. So really find out what it is on your part, what are your, so to speak, mistakes in the relationship, where are you holding down, where you are doing stuff that is not very helpful or healthy. But at the same time, also be super clear about how this relationship is limiting you. And it can be emotionally, it can be mentally, it can be energetically. You're just feeling weird when you're with the other person or you're feeling drained. And of course, it's not that you have to break up all of the relationships directly. You can, of course, communicate with the other person. You can talk about it. You can talk this through. And it can be really empowering to do that. But when you recognize that it's not working, that you are not on the same wavelength or eye level anymore, it might be very useful to go further and to end the relationship. It's a little bit like walking in too tight shoes. You are kind of growing, the other person's not allowing you to grow further, and that can be very painful. So taking the courage and moving forward, making a choice for yourself is very important because you are allowing yourself to grow and build new relationships, but you are also helping the other person in best case that they learn their thing and that they can grow too. The first sign to know that you have to break up a relationship is that when you are constantly in drama, frustration, pain, suffering, agitation, aggression, drama in a relationship. This is a clear sign that something is not healthy, that things are not clear, and that it's really, really difficult to move forward. And I don't say that when the slightest little conflict arises, you should leave and quit, because this is not what it is about. Human experience and relationships are really difficult at times, and if we are working through, that can bring us a lot of growth and a lot of new experiences that are really beautiful. But when you are in constant drama and in constant stress, this is really a sign that you should think about breaking up, because life is too short to waste time in difficult, negative drama that really sucks out the life energy and the joy that we can have as human beings. The second point that is really important is when people violate you or harass you. And of course, there are different levels in which this can take place. Physical abuse, physical violence is an absolute no-go. The next thing, of course, emotional violence. And it's not that one thing is worse than the other. Both can be really, really damaging and really, really difficult. So also here to recognize, to understand better, what are your boundaries? What are your needs? What is too much? You really have to be aware of that and follow up with that. Because when people are violating you, when they are taking over, when they are possessing you and trying to push you into directions that you don't like, or when they enjoy seeing you suffer, this is an absolute no-go. And of course, some people of us are in difficult situations. I can understand that. So if you are in such a situation where it's going really, really bad, seek out for help to see how you can solve that. And it's a really important step, because whenever people are violating us actively, maybe even enjoying that, playing power games all the time. This is an absolute no-go. This is so toxic. We should be very aware of these things and make clear choices. And of course, there are ways to try to clarify the relationship, to discuss things, to communicate, to grow out of it. And it might be even needed that you need help with that because it's so difficult that you don't know how to do that. But when you recognize that your needs and your boundaries are violated, this is an absolute no-go, and we always have to check how we can move out of the situation, because this is really, really difficult if we are kind of letting it just go on and on and on for a long time. Very much related to this is number 3, numbing yourself down. So when you are in relationships where you have to numb yourself, where you have to lower yourself, your energy, your emotional expression, when you have to in a way protect yourself by numbing yourself, this is also a clear sign that the relationship is not very healthy and that it is maybe time to end it. Because actually, even if it's a slow and silent death, it's still death. If you are numbing yourself to stay in a relationship, not to feel the hurt, not to be bored, not to acknowledge that something is off here, but you are kind of holding still and accepting stuff that is not really good for you, and you're kind of shielding yourself so that you can just stay in it, this is a clear sign for you to make a choice and move out and move forward. Because actually, who wants to live a numbed life? The next point that might show you that it's time to end a relationship is when you are not able to express yourself openly and freely. When you're not feeling seen, when you are ignored, when people are not listening to you, when people are not valuing you, when people are not, in a way, genuinely liking you, and you are staying in this relationship, that can be very detrimental to your self-image and to your self-respect. So check out for these signs, when you are showing up and you are happy and the other person is kind of just ignoring that, or worse, even pulling you down, trying to pull you down. That is a clear sign that something in the relationship is off and that you have to clear that up, communicate about it, try to solve that, or move forward, because in a way it seems that people are not appreciating you in the way you are. Another clear sign that it's time to move on is when you are not feeling safe to be vulnerable and honest. This is not about oversharing all the time, but you should be able to address your emotions and your feelings and your thoughts openly. You should be able to show yourself, to be seen as the being that you truly are. And when you recognize in a relationship that this is not possible, I would question the quality of the relationship. And of course, we have different relationships where we might like to share more, or in other relationships, it's not like the best thing to do. But genuinely, it should be in a way that you feel safe and comfortable to be the person that you truly are. And if you recognize that this is not possible, I would question the quality of the relationship and ask yourself, is this relationship really supporting you in your own ways of being and supporting you in being the person that you truly are? Coming back to my story, my biggest mistake in life till now actually is that I knew about all of these points, but I ignored it. I already felt something is off. I already felt that I feel violated, emotionally abused, that I was not feeling safe, that people were not listening to me, that I was not on eye level, that things were happening in relationships that were really not helpful and that did not help me to grow. Instead, it dragged me down. But I had so much fear about ending a relationship. I was sometimes ashamed when I was just making up in my mind how it would feel like to address to a person that I don't want to spend more time with them. Because it's not very easy to end a relationship. It's difficult. There is this person and maybe we had a great time together, but now I have to say the person that I don't want to be with them anymore. This is a difficult thing. This is challenging. And we don't like to do that. I always had some feeling of guilt or shame around that. just addressing what I truly felt. And it's even worse if you're in a relationship that is already abusive. Now to confront this person and say, okay, the way you're treating me is not the way that I like to be treated, and the way you're talking about me is not what I want, and all these kind of things. But actually, I can tell you, if you find the courage to do that, it's a major change. And as I have been saying in the beginning, I learned it the hard way, but now I have a zero tolerance for things that are kind of really detrimental in my way, in my life. And this is something that I really learned, and I'm really kind of holding myself accountable to. Do not fear, but empower yourself. Point 5. Of course, ending relationships is a challenging thing. And many of us are staying way too long in relationships that are not beneficial, that are not helpful, that are not supportive. Of course, the only person that can decide what's going on is you. You are defining and setting your own standards. When you recognize that something is off, that something is not helpful, that you are not feeling seen, that you are not feeling happy, that you are not feeling healthy in a relationship, it's about you making a choice. And these choices can be tough. But I also have to say that many times when I finally had the courage to address in a relationship what I really needed, and I was able to give myself a voice, the relationship was growing. Of course, this needs investment from both sides, but when you're doing this, it can really happen that a friendship is growing, that a partnership or love relationship is growing. And if it's not, that's sad. But if it's not, you have to leave, because you recognize that spending or wasting more years of your life in this interaction and this experience might not be very valuable for you. So when you are in this phase of thinking about ending a relationship and there's a lot of fear around it, maybe try out my Leaving Fear meditation that helped more than 100,000 people in going through their fear and working through their fear. It's not only based on relationship issues, but it's a very powerful meditation that has helped a lot of people, even myself. I was the person creating it for, and then I was sharing it. Many people are saying to me that it's super helpful. So yeah, sometimes life is tough and we have to go through that, and that's okay. You will grow with every moment of it. And actually, there is this old saying that time heals all wounds, and this is also in a way true. So sometimes when we are breaking up, it looks like a huge messy thing. But when we are doing it, after a few months, we recognize like, oh, it was not so bad. It was actually pretty easy. And my life is way better right now, as I am much more able to address what is really important to me. If you are experiencing relationship trouble right now in your life, keep in mind that you are the only person who can help yourself. This doesn't mean that you have to distance yourself from all people, but it means that you should really find out what you truly need and what is happening, and take the right decisions afterwards. Listening to your heart is very important, because actually our heart pretty much knows if we should stay or if we should leave. So don't give up others easily, but be very honest with yourself and follow up. This is your life, and it's really important to do that. So there's lots of wisdom in here, and I would have been happy to know about all of this earlier in my life. If you like to go deeper, check out this video where I'm giving advice to my younger self